Hi guys. So as you can see, I've moved into a new apartment. I really owe you guys some juicy content about what it is I'm working on. This is just like an update video because I'm still working on editing so many videos. It's like a whole job, and I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get to. But yeah, so I have this project due in 4 days, and I wanted to kind of give you guys behind the scenes of like what kind of goes on. I am currently working in this file with two separate cameras. Like this is one shot, and then I have another shot going from the opposite view. Yeah, so I've also gotten a lot of questions about how to do this sort of thing, which is like a 2D animation. Let's see here. So this is the highlight of the hair on one layer. This is the hair and the drawing itself on another layer. And then this is like Kiko herself. This is just an empty layer. So what I do is, as you can see, I've sort of created this timeline, and I'm going to sort of recreate this in a new file just to show you guys what's up. So when you go up to window, I'm jumping around like crazy today. I know I was like kind of in my C40 and now I'm like completely in Photoshop. I'm just gonna go over this really quickly. But in your window space in Photoshop, you can find this part called the timeline. When you click this, well, mine was already out, but if you click this, you get this little pop-up and you hit this, create video timeline, and you'll have layers. So your first layer has a fill, so I would recommend creating a new layer. And let's just make this, you know, what should we draw? Whoa, that's my eraser. So let's say, ooh, that's ugly. Cool, finish it like that. So as you can see, this is my first layer. What I do is I just kind of copy this. I hit Control, when you select this, you hit Control J, and then you move it down. So now you've kind of created, and you'll see you'll have a video group here. You can stretch this bottom one. This is your background, so I would stretch it out to like here. And you can see down here that this is at an increment of 2 seconds right now. So let's just put it at 2 seconds. Or you know what, let's make it simpler. Let's just put it at 1 second. Okay, and you can you can hold this to sort of like stretch things out if you want. And this is how I made the entire Stray Rats video, like just by hand drawing. So now you can see that this is down to frames, I believe. Yeah, it's currently set to 30 frames per second. So you see right there it says 30. This is 5 frames, another 5 frames, so on. So let's just say, like for the sake of this example, in this one, I'm just gonna have her like changing her expression. Hit J again. So, and then I'll cool. So you can see I've already started to create an animation here. When you hit play, see this is taking like a very long time to play through. I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps it's, oh, excuse me. This whole thing isn't at 60 frames, it's at 60 seconds. I think it's at an hour right now. Yeah, this is at 5 seconds. Excusez-moi. So you actually want all of these to be a lot shorter. Unfortunately, I'm not super savvy on how to use this. It's pretty painful sometimes when I was working with it. Okay, cool. So now you see what I've done there. And you can even take this and hit Control J, which is duplicate, move it to the end. And what I do is I reverse the order. Doop. So that's cool. And then let's, for the sake of example, let's actually bring this all the way down because I don't like how long it is. Zoom in again. Cool. So now we have a little loop. She just looks like she's talking. We could do some cute stuff too on a completely new group. What I do is I'll duplicate the entire group, and for the sake of example, I am simply trying to isolate that little sparkle. So delete it here. And you have to be at the same timestamp, like with this red line, as the layer that you're selecting in order to affect it. So what I'm doing is just like deleting the part I've selected up here, and then I can go Control I, or Command I guess, which flips the selection. I think we should be able to, let's go select, what is it? It's, oh, it's Shift Control I, so Control Shift I, and now you can see I've selected this sparkle area. I'm just gonna delete that. You can't tell yet, but I'm basically making that sparkle on a separate layer, which I could have easily done by just redrawing it, but you know what? Yeah, you know what, we're just gonna redraw it. So as you see, the sparkle stops moving there. But if you go to the second layer, and you just go like this maybe, so now it's, you know, it's doing something like this, or you know, let's make it bigger too. Hold Alt to, okay, that looks cute. And then I could select both of these, Control J again, that'll duplicate really nicely for me, and then I'll do it again. Except I don't want it to go all the way over here, so I'm just gonna, cool. Cool, so now if I play it, it's cute. It, you know, I like to like vary some of the animation so that it doesn't feel so like on a rhythm, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. And I will show you guys what I mean right now. So see how like that is kind of happening on a different timestamp than her mouth moving, and that helps a lot. So I basically did this process for that entire video, and I don't know where that video is, so give me 1 second to look for it. I would say this one. It's a big file, so maybe this is it. Okay, cool. So let me just show you guys what is going on here. I'm gonna stretch this up just so we can really see what's going on. I don't name my files, and as you can see, there's a lot of frames here. See, so let's go to the very beginning, shall we? So when this plays, I had this rectangle here. This was just to show me like where the Instagram square would crop, which is kind of dumb, but as you can see, it's just kind of laying over. I turned that off ultimately. The first layer would be here, and it's called walking. So what I did was, let's zoom up some more. I drew all these frames, right? And then I duplicated it at this point so that she takes 2 steps. Walk cycle. If you Google any walk cycle, this is literally what I used to animate this. Like this. This was such a helpful guide, and I didn't look at anything else. I only used this to remind myself like what actually happens when people walk. Just remember that like walk cycles are probably one of the hardest things to animate, and I started this project thinking, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make her walk and it'll be fine. It's actually really hard. So I actually want to show you guys really quickly where, I don't know which one it is. I think it would be this one. Okay, so this is a version, I drew it first, right? And I didn't do anything fancy with the coloring. I literally just did fills. But for the sake of example, I'll show you guys, like, this is like what I drew. So frame by frame, I drew all of these out. Then I duplicated this entire walk a second time, as you can see right there, right here. And then here, again, more drawings, just hand cranked. Everything is just drawn. This, for some reason, has the lower opacity. So a lot of this, to make it sort of feel like there's movement when the character is still, as you can see, this frame and this frame are exactly the same. There's just one middle frame that I duplicated and sort of just retraced. So it had a hand-drawn sort of animated feel to it. Same with this, you know, as you can see, these first 3 frames, it's just the same drawing that I traced over 3 times. Let me show you right here. So you see how like there's a bit of movement, but like the shoe hasn't really moved at all. These 3 frames were painfully traced from the same drawing 3 times. So from here, We had the gum movement, you know, we go back to this. Really fun. Honestly, it was a really fun project. I really liked it a lot. But as you can see, these are my sketches. So I knew she was going to fall forward, but I had really no idea how that was going to look. This was sort of one of my concept storyboard images. And so I just took that and put this here because I knew she was going to fall forward. As you see, she's falling forward some more. But you see how rough this is. Like, I had no idea how this was going to look. But ultimately, it turned out pretty good. I was most surprised by this scene because I just didn't think I was going to be able to pull it off. As you can see, it's a lot of like retracing the same frame so that your animation never feels like it's sitting still. This part was disgustingly difficult because I watch a lot of anime and I watch who knew? I would hope it's this one. So I should name these files a lot better. Maybe. Okay, so as you can see, like, I wish I had the sketch files to show you guys how incredibly disgusting this file used to be. I mean, this part, you couldn't even see fingers. It was just like a jumble of scribble to imply that she was sort of like reaching and grabbing, and it took a lot of work to get this part to even look right. But the blessing of animation is that each of these frames sit on the screen, maybe like, I think it came down to like 4 frames. Like, each of these images were on the screen for about four frames. So it's not like a completely smooth like Disney style animation where they have 24 frames. Every single frame looks different. I definitely cheated and basically did like 6 drawings per second. So 24 divided by 6 is 4 frames per image. So you get a bit of time to see each frame before it like sort of moves on to the next, as you can sort of see in this one, you know, like it looks like stop motion almost, you know, and I like that look. I think it's a very forgiving way to animate. And from here, I also wish I had the sketches for how horrible that shoe looked before I got to that point. This is much more cleaned up, but see, this is like kind of the original shoe. It was just going to be a side profile until Julian sent me a really good product shot. And then I'm gonna say it, I shamelessly traced that shit. I was like, at this point, once I got to this part of the project, I was so fucking sick of drawing. Like, my hand was going to fall off, that I was like, I'm going to just shamelessly trace this product image. And it's literally like, I'll probably find it. Like, oh yeah, official images. Maybe this is it. Oh, no. Maybe? Hello? No, I don't think so. Oh, oh, yeah. I took this image and I shamelessly mirrored it and traced it. Yeah, and then from this point on, I think at the end we were like, damn, it like needs some sort of ending. Oh, the color changes. So the way I did the color changes was kind of scandalous. Like, again, I'm not like a professional animator. I kind of learned all this on the fly. But as you can see, the color sort of, this green, dusty gray green background turns into this like baby blue. And what I did was, I'll show you, I made this color palette. And this color palette like saved my life. And I put it on a separate layer above everything else. But you can see here, like, there's that dusty green, and then there's that baby blue. And I literally just did a Photoshop gradient because the color transition happens over 2 frames. Like, it's green here, and then it's like gray green, and then it's blue. So I just color selected this middle color and filled the background here, and it feels way smoother, but as you can see, when it slows down, it's actually pretty jank. Yeah, and as for coloring, I'm gonna be honest here, I did it all in one layer. And I did it all in one layer simply because time, efficiency. I'm sure there's an animator out there watching this right now, like saying like, what? Why would you do that? I didn't care anymore, you know. I was just like, yo, I need this to be done fast. And I started out trying to make it separate. So let me just show you. So Photoshop also does this thing where, like, if you want to, like, let's say you're on this, you see this frame, right? And you're like, oh, perfect, I want to color it. You see how, like, my paint bucket says it can't paint? It's because I'm not selecting that layer in that video group at the exact time. Like, let's say I selected the one next to it. Like, you see how the red line isn't going through this block? That means I'm not on the right timestamp. It also won't let me paint, which is stupid, but It makes sense. I'm sure there's way better ways to animate than this, but like everybody keeps asking me how the fuck I did this, so I'm like, here. At this point, you know, the reason why I would just fill is like, look, that's just filled, you know. I don't want to have to go under here and make a layer and then do what I usually do, which is like, so now you see I have a layer under my shoe layer. This is my line art, this is my shoe. I feel like traditionally you'd have to like go in and like color it or something like this. I mean, this is great if you know, want to do something kind of like sketchy, like, oh, cool, things are moving, and then you have your color layer kind of sitting still. Like, it's a cool look. But for me, for the sake of my simplicity, I was like, honestly, it's just going to have to be on one layer because I'm not trying to do all that. The melting scene was really fun. This bug literally is turning, so you see how like it's sort of like angling its body towards us, and the fucking pattern of these like leopard cheetah print vans nearly killed me. I mean, I just kept like copying the print over and pasting it. Like certain things got color, like a color treatment on a separate layer. Like this layer is literally just legs and print. If I just went and just turned off this whole legs layer, okay, so randomly one layer has the print and the legs on it, of course, because I'm the messiest worker ever. Yeah, as you can see, I split this sort of like all over the place. I didn't really organize it as well as I should have. It just sort of became this way because of my extremely manic workflow. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers how I did this. It's cute. And then I think, oh, and then the clouds in this background was completely, this is like sky, right? So if you turn this off, you can see that's like a completely separate layer. But if you isolate this layer, so you'll see that it's literally just like one giant sky that I stretched out super long, which is really cute, you know, like that was really easy. I just kept duplicating the same sky to the next layer and just moving it up by a little bit. I feel like I should just re-record this, but I really just wanted to get this out of the way. And yeah, I just really hope that helps you guys, you know.